I am so excited. We have 3 phenomenal startup founders who are building really cool things. So I'm going to step back. I will do a really quick intro, and then I'm going to give them all the stage. They each have 15 minutes to show you a product that they have built, and then we get to go ask some questions. So we're going to start with Blaze and Strongbox.
Awesome. Thank you very much. My name is Blaze Sanders. I went to school for electrical and computer engineering, so I'm pretty much a hardware engineer that tries to mess around with software a little bit. It's a link to my LinkedIn there, but yeah, my background is I'm an ex-NASA engineer, did robotics there, built a worm for the moon to dig into the surface, and then built this 3U CubeSat for space VR, which basically was a 360-degree camera that we launched the International Space Station, shot it out. It would orbit the Earth and then transmit video back down so that you could feel the overview effect, which is what astronauts feel like when they go to space for the very first time. So I'm a big space nerd. And then the final thing there is what actually I'm going to be presenting on, Strongbox. It's literally a strong box that we're going to crash land into the moon. It's the total opposite of any aerospace spacecraft you could think about. And so yeah, I'll go into detail a little bit. I'm also launching a Death Star into suborbital space. So it's a 4-inch Death Star that will burn and shoot lasers in space. So it'll be a fully functional and operational Death Star in suborbital, so relatively cheap. But yeah, I just love space, want to make the moon a cool place. And my call to action kind of at the end of the presentation will be, I would love help coding some of this, because again, I'm a hardware engineer. I'd love to send your name into space, so there's an opportunity for you guys to do that at the end. And then there's another really cool organization, Tripoli, Las Vegas. They're northeast Vegas, about 90 minutes away. They're an amateur rocketry company, and every month they do a rocket launch with like a 10-foot tall rocket and blow stuff up. So I'm going to go out for the first time, learn a little bit about rocket engines there for my project. So if you want to come out and see stuff possibly explode, join the fun. So yeah, Strongbox. It's a basically lunar lander demonstration. My side project, looking for a full-time gig. But it has 8 4K cameras on each one of the corners there that you can see, and then 2 additional 5-megapixel cameras. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4 cameras there to view the inside of the box, because the goal is to send a greenhouse to the moon and prove that life can survive on the moon for at least a month straight, as simple as possible. Because kind of the long-term goal is to scale this up from 2 feet to 12 feet and crash land lunar habitats on the moon, and then NASA can figure out a way to get the humans down there nice and soft, but I'm just going to keep chucking stuff at the moon. But yeah, the idea is computer vision. You can scan both of those QR codes. The one on the left is to my GitHub with the project. Everything is open source there, hardware and software. And then the right one is a link to my simple wordspace website. If you go to that one and then scroll down, you can click on the image of the Strongbox, and it'll open up the 3D model that you can view on your phone through an app called Onshape. It's really cool 3D modeling software that runs on your phone. I do most of my CAD modeling on the bus while I'm going around town, so definitely check that out. But yeah, the idea, this is going to go up on a Starship from SpaceX launch in 2026. They'll push it out the door. It'll free fall from about 100 kilometers is their orbit. It will come down about 1 kilometer from the surface. It will turn on this solid rocket engine that I'm learning how to build from the company here in Vegas. And it'll slow down to 100 miles an hour, and then we hope for the best. My code is basically rotate this until one of the corners is facing down, so it's not like the most advanced computer vision code ever. You're basically looking for black skies up and gray dirt at the bottom. I'll go into a little bit more detail. It does try to do a few fancy things, but that's the general idea. And then after it lands, hopefully only the camera that crash landed breaks, and the other 11 cameras are still working for at least a week. Send back 2 or 3 images of plants growing on a beautiful gray landscape, and you have a good time. So yeah, if you've scanned those already, they'll be at the end too. But yeah, I've coded it all in Python 3. I've been studying Python for about 5 or 6 years, using Terso, which seems like the coolest database architecture I've ever seen. It does both networked and local SQLite stuff, so it's really cool for the moon because I won't have any internet connection, so I want a super local, simple database file to store these images and do a bunch of stuff. And then yeah, Python, OpenCV libraries are pretty cool, and they do a lot of the hard work for you there. And then on the hardware side, I worked at a construction company, and so these are what we were using there to build modular homes. These hollow structural steel. It's basically a 6-inch wide piece of steel that's a 1/2 inch thick. And so when you make this a very small box out of very thick metal, I can pretty much survive anything. And so the lander is made out of that same stuff that we use for housing, with internal supports in a few areas too to really beef it up. And then the corner modules themselves, this is a cutout from the 3D CAD model. Those dark gray blocks are actually solid stainless steel as well. That's what holds the cameras in place, and they're welded. And then the smaller 1-inch cube here is 3D printed material to enclose the camera and the electronics. It's 3D printed out of a material called Altium 1010. It's what we also used on the CubeSat that you saw at the first presentation. It's a 3D printed material that survives space super well and is also machinable after you 3D print it. So I have some prototypes in my bag of the first print of the camera module there if we want to take a look at it near the end. But yeah, eight of those cameras and then 4 other simpler cameras inside make up the bulk of the project. And like I mentioned, all of this hardware is open source, and along with the software, I really like to support the right to repair and just making the world a better place. The website has a little bit more information about my philosophy on open source and why it's the best thing even for companies. Your competition will do things that's beneficial to you, and you'll probably do the same for them, but in the end, patents are expensive, and they just get you sued. Like, I think most startups shouldn't probably get patents because all it does is tell the big guys what you're doing, and then they have the lawyers to actually sue you, and then you have no money to sue them back. So patents, not a great idea, in my opinion. Maybe I'm totally wrong though. So yeah, I wanted to try and do a live demo, so I prepared both a live demo and a pre-built demo because all demos fail. But the main computer vision demo that I was going to try and walk through here was as it's coming down, the computer vision code finds circles on the moon. Those are the craters. Some of them are pretty big. For example, a crater called Picard is 69 kilometers wide, so pretty easy to find on a camera. After it finds the circle, it finds the center of that circle and then uploads that location to a database, and then I cross-check it against NASA's work that they've done with some of their orbitals. There's like a star map for craters, basically, and that will let me know exactly how high we're up because we'll know the position, and then if we know the size, like the angular size of these craters as it's coming down, that'll tell me the altitude above the moon's surface, and then I have one chance to turn on the solid rocket motor, and if I don't turn it on at the right time, it's going to hit faster than 100 miles an hour. But there's a double check for a lot of that, and I'm using a real-time operating system on a mil-spec computer, so it's RedWorks, so there won't be any latency over USB. That's going to mess me up, hopefully, at the very last second, and it turns on 20 milliseconds too late, and everything's bad. But yeah, then, like I said, it calculates the height, turns it on, and we crash land and make all the money. That's the idea. So this is some of the computer vision code working as not a live demo. That's some basic computer vision circle finding algorithms that I downloaded from the internet. The orange dots are the center, obviously, of some of the craters. It's not working perfect now. I'm trying to fine-tune how many it attempts to find. Right now it's finding way too many circles in the dirt. So that's some of the work to go forward on. And then on the hardware side, it's mostly, let me check the time, 9 minutes. The reason for the selection of this stainless steel, specifically the 304L, it's the same metal that SpaceX is using for the Starship rockets they're building. Super strong, super cheap. Most aerospace companies do like a safety factor of 1.5. Like, it's just strong enough to survive launch, and if you shake it too hard before, there goes $50 million. What I've designed is a safety factor of 15, so 10 times stronger than it actually probably needs to be to survive all of this. And so, yeah, we want to crash land it, and like SpaceX, one of the benefits of using specifically 304L stainless steel is it gets stronger and stronger as it gets colder and colder. So that'll definitely be beneficial in space as it's trying to make its way to the moon in 2 or 3 days. So some of the software that's in work is the Terso SQLite stuff. So you can see, if you wanted to, one of the first database entries is a crater called Picard. I know the diameter, its latitude, longitude, and from there you can calculate a whole bunch of stuff. I also have some sensors inside because I want to prove that there's no leaks inside once it crash lands, to show to NASA that you can crash land something and it's going to be totally fine and not leak super fast. It can leak a little bit. All spacesuits leak, so it's okay to leak a few PSI as long as it's stable and controlled. Like, if it's a slow leak that lasts for the entire week, that will also be a mission success. And I went the wrong direction. So yeah, I need to be able to measure, because there's going to be living plants inside of this, it being a greenhouse. So I want to measure the CO2 levels. Those are in millibars. So I've done some testing on the sensors there, and there was no oxygen inside the box when I ran that test, because the plants had just gotten in there and I had evacuated everything. Because the only gas that's inside this lander is 4 CO2 tanks. So after it lands, you turn on the CO2, fill in all the gas for the plants, and hopefully they have a good time. They're South American plants, so they don't require any dirt. They're called air plants. And it's also lichen that was sent to the International Space Station a few years ago. So with those 2 plants, no dirt is needed, just CO2 and a little water. So as long as my water doesn't evaporate over 2 weeks. It's an enclosed box, so hopefully if it does, it rains inside of there or something. I don't know. I don't care. I just need them to survive for a couple days, and we'll be good to go. So this is, yeah, kind of nerdy stuff, but a bunch of telemetry stuff that I've been working on. I really like remove before flight pins. I have one on my backpack. I have a pair of boxers that also say remove before flight, so I had to include that into the thing. It's also super important for when it's sitting on the rocket, because it'll be sitting there for maybe about a month beforehand. So somebody cool gets to come in and remove this pin right before it's about to launch. So it'll sit on the rocket for a month, and then maybe 2 days before launch, pull this pin, everything turns on, and it has to survive for basically 5 days after that. 2 days on the launch pad, 3 days to the moon, and then 7 days on the surface of the moon itself. So like a 2-week mission. Hardware, which is the fun part. James actually gave me a really good idea. That's probably better than what I have planned here. I was going to lift it up 300 feet and drop it. Did all the math. It's the same energy as crash landing on the moon at 100 miles per hour with 1/6 gravity. So that's about $1,500. James actually suggested maybe just putting it in a car and crashing it into a wall horizontally at the same 40 miles per hour instead of going the other direction. So I'll think about doing that for sure. And then building vacuum chambers is the other major element. It's going to be a large 12-foot box, the same thing that hopefully I'll sell to NASA in the long-term vision of the project in 10, 15 years. But we'll do all the testing inside of there. It'll become its own thermal vacuum chamber. Paint it black, put a giant halogen light just to prove that the cameras won't be blinded by the sun once it gets up there. So going to test the drop this summer and do the thermal vacuum testing around Christmas time this year is the goal. And then out in the desert in the middle of nowhere, I'll let the professionals do the actual real solid rocket engines, but just for fun, you can also make solid rocket engines out of sugar and stump remover. So at the end of the summer, I'm going to build a small solid rocket engine out of sugar and stump remover, just to prove that I can put it inside the spacecraft and turn it on and fire it. And then once I know what I'm doing, I'll put the bigger solid rocket engine in there and not blow myself up, hopefully, when I get to that stage. And yeah, after all the testing this summer and this Christmas time, the next step is to kind of start selling the project and raising more funding. It'll cost about $1 million total. I've already paid the deposit to Astrolabs, a company that has a moon lander, to bring it to the moon. So I have to figure out how to fund the last $750K. But my plan was to maybe send people's names into space, etched either onto the side of the metal, on a microchip, a bunch of things like that, or get some free VC money from some crazy guys in San Francisco. Yeah, there's a lot of options to close the last little bit of funding, but that's kind of the long-term goal of how we're going to get there and actually land it on the moon before 2026. And yeah, kind of wanted to open it up to questions, and yeah, that's the Twitter account for the project there, Astro Strongbox. So
we have
yeah.
time for a few questions. So 1, 2, 3, any others? Cool, let's go.
Yeah.
Do you anticipate the box to land at a 90-degree angle?
No, the goal is to orientate it so it goes onto one of the strong corners, which it's the strongest.
I'm talking about the flight angle. Is it going to approach the moon at a 90-degree
Okay,
angle?
no, it'll be
It's going to be that both of your tests don't really resemble that.
drop test, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be a velocity vector that's sideways, I agree for sure. But the overall magnitude is what I'm worried about. Like, it'll be softer coming in sideways because it won't be all velocity straight down. It'll tumble a whole bunch and roll, yep.
Okay.
How are you retrieving the data? You mentioned that it's going to start sending the data back to Earth, but it doesn't have Wi-Fi, so I was wondering how you're going to do that.
Yeah, the mil-spec computers are actually NVIDIA AGXs, so they're Wi-Fi and Bluetooth enabled, and Astrolabs, the landing company, has a way of doing local area connections. So I'll be transmitting over Wi-Fi back to the lander.
Wait, Wi-Fi like a satellite, or?
No, so their lander, mine will crash land, and then they're going to land controlled next to mine.
Here we go. Yes. Definitely.
Yep, and then they'll transmit it. I could put a radio in this. There's just extra cost, probably an extra $70,000 or $80,000. Very similar to the one I put in the CubeSat, but it's not worth the extra money if another company's going to do it for me for free.
And then one more over here.
Do we know that the plants will survive the crash?
We do not. Now that's part of the test for the summer.
They're testing.
Yep.
So since plants are exothermic, it's going to be really cold there. How are you going to keep the plants warm enough?
The inside of a spacecraft is always hot.
Oh, okay.
Space is actually, the outside is definitely cold, the metal will be cold, but all the electronics inside of this thing is going to be overheating. Like, it's not going to be cold inside of this box at all. Like, it's 150 watts of electronics inside. And it's like a thermos in space, so there's nowhere for the heat to go. So it's going to be super hot.
Are you hoping that it's orientated a certain way when it crashes? Or
I hope so. That's what it should help a little bit. I don't know. I haven't tested it fully, but the goal is, yeah, to use the computer vision cameras to try and figure out how to orientate it and then which way is the best way to crash. I think it's pointy end down, but with the tumbling, maybe that's not a great idea. I have no idea really.
how many people have given you flack about using Python and not C?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, Python is the second best language for everything. So.
Right.
So yeah, I don't care. I built a 3U CubeSat. It functioned for 6 months in space. If computers do crash because of radiation of other things, you reboot them and they work fine. Like the whole radiation, this is going to cause problems with electronics is a over-designed criteria a lot of companies do. The NASA PhoneSat mission proved that. They put a cell phone with COTS electronics on a tiny CubeSat, and it did break, but then you rebooted it, and 1 minute later you have a working spacecraft again. So.
The best language to code in is the one that you actually get code done in.
Exactly, yep.
So with that, can I close this out with one final question?
Yeah, sure.
How can we help you in your mission?
Yeah, helping, funding, spreading the news on Twitter, retweeting a bunch of the stuff that I've been working on would be super helpful. Just coming out to the launch events and making a bunch of marketing material with me would be super cool and fun.
If I give you a PCB that has a 9-axis sensor and accelerometer to test it, will it help you to test it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a ton of space in here, so.
I have an idea for money real quick. It's 6-sided. If you spray paint dice patterns on there, you can open up an open net on there and be like, what's
No, yeah, the metal sheets already have etched dice circles on them in the 3D model, so yeah, for sure, yeah. Definitely gonna roll the dice.
Corner then. He
It's
wants
got-
it to land on a corner.
You have to re-roll it, another mission, I guess.
He keeps all the money. He keeps all the money. Thank you so much, Blaine.
Thank you.
Okay. While we're switching through, that's cool, right? We have people in our own community actually building things to go to the moon. That's cool stuff. Next up, we have Trenton with SMSS. Did I say that correctly? Yes. Fantastic. Okay. And as a reminder, this is open to anybody in the community. So if you'd like to demo your project, please reach out. We are already slotting up for, oh my God, it's May, for June. And it only gets hotter. So if you want to do it soon before it gets very, very warm, please feel free to sign up soon. We have 2 slots currently open for May and June, and 2 slots for July, but they are slotting up.
Okay, I'm gonna do that now.
All right, Trenton.
All right, well, I appreciate everybody for being here. Excited to talk to you guys about SMSS. I'm the founder and creator of SMSS. I started working on this project about like 13 years ago when I was in college. I grew up in California, originally from Los Angeles, California. Went to Cal State University, Dominguez Hills, and academically I studied social behavioral science. I double minored in marketing and communications. So for me, I love data. I love analyzing our behavior, why we do the things we do, and relating it to sales. Like that's kind of like what I got involved in early on. And that's pretty much what SMSS is all about, is helping small businesses analyze their behavior on social media and actually monetize their data and monetize their behavior a little bit differently than we do traditionally on social media. Because we all use social media, but are we actually being rewarded for that? When we're using social media, are we earning? Most business owners, they want to earn revenue or make sales, generate leads. So the whole idea and concept for SMSS is really to give businesses incentives, give them rewards while they're actually interacting on social media. So I have a deck that I'm going to show you guys, and then we can get into the concept. I have a proven concept that has scaled over the years from just talking to business owners and helping business owners with social media. We built the platform up to over 30,000 users, subscribers. And now we're actually taking the Web 2 platform and we're migrating it to a Web 3 platform. So I'm gonna get into this. So basically the problem and the opportunity that we're focused on is helping small businesses as far as education and that are lacking in the technology adoption. So there's a lot of small business owners or tech startups that still don't understand Web 3 yet and how it actually compares and differs from Web 2. So the whole goal with this platform is to help the businesses get more educated and then use the data that we have, the data that we've been collecting from the concept, to actually create more strategies and create more success in the business's marketing strategies. Because most of this was built organically. It was built without any funding, without any bank loans or like any capital. You know, it was pretty much all built from organic conversations, organic interactions, and things like that. So, you know, we're leveraging the data. And the opportunity really is to just bridge the gap for small businesses that are afraid of the technology, that maybe don't understand the technology. We actually want to help the businesses understand that they can empower themselves, empower their business by learning Web 2 and learning Web 3, really, and how to use it for innovation with their social media. So if I had a clicker, I wouldn't. So basically our value proposition, SMSS is a token as well. That's the conversion from just Web 2 to Web 3. So SMSS token offers a comprehensive AI-driven powered solution. We want to use artificial intelligence to help basically automate certain functions for the business to understand social media and understand Web3, or just what the differences are, especially when it comes to education. So like the training and the education, it's going to all be inside of this platform that empowers the businesses, gives them their own insights based on their data, or based on the responses that you give to the software. And the whole goal, honestly, is to help you scale without having large advertising costs. From my experience in sales and marketing and advertising, I've heard a lot of businesses tell me how much money they wasted on ads, how much they don't like advertising on Facebook or Google. So, there's a lot of data out there as far as how much money businesses actually spend for advertising. So if we can help them save money, then we're doing our job. And one of the main benefits is having everything seamless. So we want to include and unify several functions of Web 2, I guess you would say. So your CRM, your email, taking all the metrics from like a traditional CRM, taking all the metrics from a traditional social media advertising metrics like impressions, your clicks, taking all that, putting it in one platform, and then letting the AI analyze, your data, analyze your behavior. So the benefit again is harnessing the AI to save time. We want to help the business owners save a lot of time. Obviously with AI, that's the whole point, is having your own personal assistant, save money, and then also incentivize and basically drive more revenue through their interactions and through their behavior to create more leads. So let me go to the next slide. So the magic of SMSS is really, it's going to be using the AI technology and letting the AI power the whole technology for you, from content creation to scheduling your posts, to automating your content across Facebook, or automating your content across X, all these different social media sites that can be time consuming and hard to keep up with or manage, individually. So we have a lot of proprietary data to utilize and help keep this exclusive as far as the community that we have. And we're building this like very focused on letting the community drive and own their data and own the platform. So that's pretty much a lot of the magic in the data, as well as user-generated data. We're taking data, user-generated data from Facebook, from LinkedIn, from all the Web 2 platforms that we already use. We're actually using that data to help curate, your journey, or help start your journey in the Web 3 process. And so the other aspect of the magic is really just understanding behavioral science and leveraging certain insights for interactions, and showing business owners how your interactions on social media can create transactions. So pretty much, so like think about your interaction as a like, comment, shares, all these interactions that we do every day, billions of interactions. Like what if you were able to earn a penny, or 2 pennies, 3 pennies, some type of reward and incentive. So that's pretty much where we're going with this. Let me go to the next slide. So this is the business model for the software for SMSS token. The first revenue stream is really advertising, and as the platform grows, there's going to be advertising opportunities for businesses to kind of get away from Facebook ads, get away from Google ads, and have a more connected environment from the content creator to the end user, and actually interact with them, where everybody's incentivized to interact and have conversations. So the second revenue stream is pretty much, there's going to be a monthly subscription, and when I show you guys the concept, it'll make more sense kind of how it's really robust. It's going to do a lot of different things based on your needs and based on what's a priority for your business. So you can subscribe to it monthly, you can subscribe to it annually. One of the revenue streams will also be the data aspect and the CRM, and leveraging the community as it grows. So right now there's 30,000 businesses in the community. Because it's free, it's going to be free to sign up on the platform. So there's like a freemium business model behind it, where you can sign up for free, or you can upgrade whenever you like and basically kind of like learn as you go. There's also going to be monetization of our marketing channels. So for Facebook, like our Facebook community, we have two Facebook groups. We have a LinkedIn page. We have an Instagram page. So we want to use these pages to grow and monetize the brand and other brands inside the community as well. And then there's also the agency model. So we're looking to eventually license or partner with other digital marketing companies, digital marketing agencies that can help us expand the technology and put it in front of more businesses or put it in front of more users. And then also just consulting, like that's actually a big revenue driver. Just as a lot of small business owners need their hand held, or they're really afraid of the technology, so they need somebody to actually hold their hand and show them step by step. So we want to build a system around that as well. So that's pretty much the business model for the platform. And then our go-to market plan and strategy. This was based on how I by myself was able to do all the marketing. I've done all the sales over the last 7 years. I've been able to generate revenue for myself, and I haven't had a traditional job in 10 years because I've just been building this platform. And I'm lucky enough that I've been able to do about $100,000 a year, just working with business owners and getting it to this point and just being ambitious. And I really love sales. So this go-to market plan is just based on how I've been able to generate most of the revenue by myself so far. 40% Facebook. So that's actually a really big part of the platform is Facebook and building a community on Facebook and driving engagement on Facebook. 35% has come from just generating referrals and actually building that connection with each business owner. And really, for the most part, referrals is super important because that means that people trust you. It's all about getting your leads or getting your customers to know, like, and trust you. So we want to really drive that engagement. 20% is through email marketing. So using email is really, really efficient and effective. I've found out that a lot of business owners aren't really using an email database. They're not really using an email CRM every single day or consistently enough to drive results. So that's been working for us really well. And then 5% is going to networking events, actually getting out, networking, meeting people, shaking hands, and having our own events. So for SMSS token, the approach is really to create more value, be more cost effective, and provide innovation into the small businesses, bottom line with Web 2 and Web 3. So let me go to, so the management team and pretty much the users on the platform are the owners. That's how it's being structured, where if you look at Facebook or if you look at Google, obviously we don't own that platform. We don't get paid to use that platform, or they don't give you stock to actually use the platform. But with this SMSS platform, we want to make sure that the users manage and operate the platform, and that's why the token is so cool for Web3, because it gives you more ownership over your data, gives you more privacy, and it gives you more incentives to actually interact on social media. So right now we have over 100 holders holding the actual SMSS token that I can show you guys. It is live, and we also have a top 50 liquidity providers. So that's pretty much just the management side of the platform. So let me show you guys the actual concept for SMSS. Let's see here. So this is pretty much, this is the software that we launched in 2017 to start the concept for Web 2. So it lets you connect to all your social media, cross post to all your social media, and it's free to sign up. So you can log in, and let me get in here. Oh, it says no internet. I'm not connected to the internet. I should have been connected to the internet. Oh man.
Can you click on my phone?
Okay. I appreciate that.
I think you're connected. You did it.
Thank you, Blaze. Let's see. Okay, there we go. So when you log into the platform, you're able to basically connect your Facebook, you can connect LinkedIn, you can connect. We're still going to be switching some of these platforms up, like Pinterest. We want to add Discord on here. We want to add, some like X, Twitter. We used to have Twitter on the platform, but when they went through a whole different rebrand, that kind of switched things up for our API access and things like that. So this is the concept just from a Web 2 perspective. The main difference with Web 3 is your actual wallet address. Like if anybody actually has a Web 3 wallet, that's what you'll need to connect to the platform. So that's the aspect that's missing, is like the users can sign up, with your name, your email address. But so we're going from that to actually incorporating a Web 3 aspect where you actually have to, your personal information is less important, and your actual wallet address is the identity that will be used to give you access to the platform. And you can access based on your criteria or what you qualify for. You'll be able to access certain features in the platform, the education, or you'll be able to post across your social media. So what we've been doing for clients is pretty much just like automating their social media, creating their content, and pretty much automating it across Facebook or LinkedIn, where it starts to learn your content. It starts to learn like what hashtags you're using. And down here you can see like there's actually ads popping up. So it's like these ads are inside of the platform. So as users are creating content or scheduling content, that's actually increasing the advertising as well. Impressions, we're able to track the impressions, we're able to track clicks. So the goal really is just to create a huge community where people are interacting nonstop, advertising, cross-posting to social media, and all of it's being monetized. So this is pretty much the concept. So I'm going to show you guys. Last thing I'll show you is the token, and then that's pretty much it. So this is SMSS token right now. It's only been on the market for about 2 years. And so what we're doing right now is pretty much we're migrating all of the users over to the Web 3 aspect. Because when I launched the platform, it was just Web 2. There was no token, there was no Web 3 aspect. I had to learn myself as technology has grown and technology has advanced. I had to learn myself like how I could incorporate the Web 3 aspect of it. So this is where we're at so far. So I guess the main thing that I'm looking for really is just more members in the community. What helps me is literally learning about your business or learning like what kind of business you have, and then figuring out how we can collaborate, how we can strategize or come up with ideas to collaborate. So we want to grow a really big community, and we want to help people that have the vision or see the vision where this is going. So that's pretty much it. Let's open up for questions. Sure.
1, 2, 3. Any more? We'll start with that.
Can you real quick give a breakdown of the differences between Web 2 and Web 3 and why that's so groundbreaking?
Chris, well, can you really quickly break down the difference between Web 2 and Web 3?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I was actually just on the phone explaining to somebody. I mean, even before I created SMSS, based on what I know now, I feel like most people in the Web 3 space or that are learning about Web 3, they should at least kind of understand certain foundational things about social media to understand Web 3, because it is all about data. At the end of the day, like most people get caught up in the crypto aspect and obviously trying to get rich quick and how much money they can make. But like for me, I didn't really get involved to this capacity until I actually started understanding the difference between Web 3 and Web 2. So since I had pretty much done so much on Web 2 with social media, it was easier for me to understand the difference, because social media is all about our personal information. And social media, the bigger game of social media is the big companies monetize you for using the platform. So it's free to sign up on the platform. They're gonna get all your data. They wanna learn everything about you, and then they give that information to other companies to advertise to you. So that's why, like, now you don't even have to be on your phone. You can just talk around your phone, and you go on YouTube and they're already advertising, you know, a brand that you talked about, or, you know what I mean? So it's like that's Web 2. Web 3 is more like you have control, like the user is more in control over their data. They're more in control over who has access to it by joining Web 3 platforms. So it's less personal information, and it's more about like privacy and monetizing every aspect of your data versus just giving it to the company and then letting them make money off your data.
Still selling all your data to the Web 2 platforms because you post on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and whatever. So you have the accounts on there too. So it's you're still selling the data. So because you have to use Web 2 because this is what your product does, right? You post to Web 2.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you're giving up your data, but what are you getting in return is what I would say. You know, everybody's using social media, but what are you getting in return for the time that you spend on social media? The big companies are making all the ROI, you know what I mean? But the users are not really, you know, and it's even hard for the content creators to make money, you know, on social media. So, I mean, I don't know if that answered your question, but that's how I would go that route.
I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking that Web3 is like blockchain based.
Right.
Like a crypto wallet that's your new identity or whatever. That's
Exactly.
Implicitly, that's what I'm thinking it is. I don't know.
Yeah, your identity is literally just an address, you know, so nobody really knows who you are. You know, it's not based on your personal information. It's based on your interactions.
Kind of make a swing at it to make it a little bit easier. Web 1 was read only.
Right.
Web 2 was read and write. Web 3 is read, write, and own. You are owning your content.
Yes,
right?
sir.
And you're able to take it no matter what the platform is. It's not just Google that owns it. You actually own it.
Yep.
And you're making money off of it. That's
Exactly.
the difference between the webs.
Yep, absolutely. Definitely. Any other questions? James?
So you're drastically reducing the go-to-market cost for startups.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the main goals is to definitely decrease go-to-market budgets, teaching businesses how to build their own communities. It's another aspect of Web3. I feel like Web 2 is, like I said, you're just advertising to the user, but Web 3 is going more towards communities. And like actually, like if you're a business owner, you want to have a community on Web 2, and then you might be able to become a Web 3 business of your own. You know, you can have your own little economy, have your own ecosystem based on the community that you build on Web 2. Absolutely. James?
So with I'm a plant in the audience, by the way. But I'm testing this with a company in Florida right now. So with the SMSS coin, you got 30,000 people in this community right now, and they have an incentive to use that coin within the community because they get value out of it.
Right. Yeah. The incentive is to get them to interact with the platform, so they're not just speculating on the token. Right. We want them to actually use it and see the value of educating themselves on the platform, monetizing their businesses by interacting on the platform or just advertising on the platform as well. So, and for payments as well, it's like the token can be used to actually buy things in the platform. So it's like you don't have to worry about using cash anymore. Yes, sir.
So what chain did you build on?
Right now we're built on the BNB chain, smart chain.
Right. How are you managing the volatility of the coin? Because every transaction has to be paid for.
Right.
It has to be paid for in the native coin of that blockchain, not yours. How are you managing the volatility of that? I mean, that's one of the biggest problems we have in the industry is I've got a production line and I know I have 1 million transactions that will happen every single day on this one production line because I know exactly how many units.
Yeah.
But I can't have a coin, I can't have a transaction fee that's going to be $10 on one transaction and 3 cents on the other, right?
Right.
You've got to have that. So how are you managing that with
It's a good question. So far, really just keeping the token in the community. The good thing before I launched the token was I already had a community of business owners. So when I launched the token, you know, we did a lot of airdrops in the community, like basically rewarded the users for supporting me for this long on social media. And then furthermore, like it's just been kind of using it as a reward system. So like as I get customers for social media for certain consulting, opportunities, giving them the token in exchange, and then they start earning the tokens. They start earning more tokens as they use the platform more. So the other aspect is a lot of people that are in our community they're not traders, they're not crypto savvy people. So it hasn't really seen that much volatility yet because we're still in the growth stage and we're still in the development stage. But for me, that's the incentive to educate more people, especially my target market of small business owners, because for the most part, they're not using Web3 technology yet every day. So
I think you're confusing, and let me try to be more clear. You have your point, I get that. But you're on a layer 1 blockchain that has gas fees.
Right.
Those gas fees have to be paid in the data point of that chain, so
Mhm.
BNB
Right.
coin, right?
Yep.
How are you controlling the volatility of the BNB coin? Because regardless of what tokens they have of yours, they still have to pay when that transaction goes across a BNB chain and the node validators validate that this is a transaction you have to pay for them to do that
Mhm.
and to secure your data.
Well, I mean, most of the users on our platform, they're buying the BNB on their own. So like once they start learning about the token, they start learning about what's the technology underneath it or what we're paired with, they go out and they start buying BNB. The gas fees for BNB is pretty cheap, I'm not gonna lie, especially like compared to Ethereum or Solana, other networks. So I haven't really come across that problem yet, like where the volatility has been a major issue yet, but probably will be hopefully in the future. Hopefully. Blaze?
Can you explain the advertising, like why we want to buy an ad on this network instead of buying one on Facebook, like what the main advantage might be?
Definitely. Yeah, the main advantage is really, so I will put it to you like this. It's about incentivizing not just the advertiser, but also the customer as well, or the user, to click on the ad or to interact with the ad. So, on Facebook, a lot of people are running ads, but they don't necessarily get the result that they're looking for. So the advertising on SMSS platform is going to be, at the end of the day, you might budget to run ads on our platform, but if nobody buys anything from you, that's okay, because you're still earning our token. All the interactions or all the data that piles up from the advertising is going to pay you in our token, basically. So appreciate you guys' questions. Thank you.
I'm going to close this out with just that same question. How can we help?
Just more feedback. I do have a questionnaire. If you go to smss.network, that's really, really helpful. Just learning about, like I said, all your businesses. I would love to, meet with anybody who has the same vision or kind of sees where this is going, and hopefully we can collaborate.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, and then last up we have Mike. So while he's setting up, I'm going to do one more final reminder. This is a beautiful community space. Earlier in the same room, we talked about founders who are fundable, backable, and bankable. And backing to me is really about, do you want to support this person? And if they do the vulnerable thing of getting in front of a bunch of people, talking about their product, putting their baby out for people to call ugly, and there's nothing in us that makes us go, well, how can I help? How can I support? Especially when they're asking for things that are free for us to do. At the end of the day, most of the people in this community are founders themselves, or they soon will be, and will oftentimes be in situations similar to this one. In fact, the stakes might be higher and there might be more people. So in that moment, if you can remember what it's like to be here and be the person who supports them or not supports them, there are so many lessons we can take from this. One of them being, what have they done that makes us want to back them? Another being, what did they not do, or what did they do that made you not want to back them, so that we can learn from those lessons. But in that moment, if you can go, hey, this is my own neighborhood, this is Las Vegas, it's just a Twitter follow, it's just subscribing to a channel, let me just give them a follow anyways. Hopefully when you are in that position, someone will do that for you as well. Let's go, Mike. Oh, I have to clip this in for you.
Take it.
There you go. Let's go,
Thank
Mike.
you.
Woo!
So, just just to get it started, don't worry, I'm not going to bore you with what we do and what company. This is going to be about the new company that we actually just getting started, or a new concept. It's so new, we don't even have the website, but we're an established company, we're an engineering company. So the concept I want to tell you about is what we call the Platforms IoT. But before I get into the Platforms IoT, I just want to tell you, because for most people, IoT, just they heard about it, Internet of Things, they know it, but unless you're working with them every day, or it's part of your profession, it's really hard to grasp on the concept. So Internet of Things devices are referred to are the devices who are connected to the cloud services, so to the cloud. So basically a hardware that publishes data to the cloud, and then from the cloud you're accessing the data. So in general understanding, that's what the IoT means, Internet of Things. So I have a typical IoT device that we build ourselves. There are 2 microcontrollers on this, and a little thing called the eSIM. So there are 2 Nordic microcontrollers. One is controlling the device. By the way, this is a conditions monitoring GPS tracker. And the concept of the IoT works following way. This device collects data, including GPS location, etc., and without connecting to any Wi-Fi or Bluetooth or any other network, it connects to the, in this particular case, it connects to the radio called NB-IoT, narrowband NB-IoT signal, and it's a narrowband signal, but it could also connect to the LTE-M and use the same exact SAMFOL connection as your phone is using. And there's electronic certificates already programmed into one of the Nordic microcontrollers. It identifies itself to in this particular case, it identifies to AWS as a registered device, creates a handshake, and using the protocol called the MQTT, transmits data into the AWS topic, publishes into the topic. We have lambdas that read these topics, and then we collect the data. We put sometimes into the timestamp database, sometimes a more persistent database for the further use. And what happens is there's some post-processing, the middle tier application, which is part of our platform, that processes the data, and as an end user, you can connect either with the app, through the website, or some other ways, and that data gets delivered to you. So the idea here is this device is out somewhere, publishes some kind of data, gets to the cloud, from the cloud goes into the cloud-based storage system, and then your systems are able to access the data, and then you can use it for your business purposes. So the process itself is very complicated. It requires 5 different disciplines of engineering. You need hardware engineers to build the device. You need firmware engineers who understand the concept of IoT to write the firmware, including MQTT protocol, load the certificates. You need DevOps engineer who understand the topics, Dockers, deployments, etc., to get the data from the cloud publishing system into a persistent system where you need Java engineers or other engineers who write the middle tier applications. At the end of the day, you need also, sometimes you need either app developers or front-end engineers, but that's not the core requirement. But in order to complete the cycle, you need 5 different disciplines of engineering. The number of the companies who actually can afford to do this in this particular discipline, it's surprisingly low. Almost doesn't exist. Only giant companies can afford this kind of complete service. And our experience is even the ones that do, they actually lack on 1 or 2 disciplines. So they have to seek help outside, or outsource it, or contract the development of certain parts of this particular platform or particular application. Now, where we are and why we went from, say, being a custom engineering company, which we built, custom hardware, firmware, and etc. But last 5 years, we completely been focused on building IoT devices. And I'll tell you why. The last data that we have available, is 2001. There were 22 billion microcontrollers sold worldwide, most of them with some kind of radio. As you know, there's a microcontroller shortage and etc. So every single piece of that was sold. So potentially this is an enormously large market. And some of the devices that you see here is actually devices that we build. Like this one is for agricultural monitoring, this is for GPS tracking. And these are devices that we haven't built. We just bought it from the store and we onboarded into our platform. So what is this concept that I'm trying to present here as a new thing? I mean, it's so new. I just registered the company about a couple of years ago. A couple of days ago. So what we noticed that is some of our customers, a traditional engineering company, they want their data out and they don't want unconnected devices. Most of our customers now, they want only connected devices. But then we also had a set of customers who don't want the hardware built. They just already have the hardware. Like, for example, a medical device company that we built for them Infusomed is an injection device, but they also want the heart monitor, EKG monitor, and everything else connected to their platform that we built for the remote patient monitoring. And they don't want us to build the BP monitor or the EKG. They want to use the one that they are actually using, FDA approved and everything else. So we had to onboard these existing devices. So you see there's 2 EKG monitors and a blood pressure monitor. They are actually onboarded into Infusomed's system. And what we do right now, we do remote monitoring for their patients. Now, one of those devices is an IoT device. The other one is not IoT. And the only difference between them is because we onboarded one, and the second one we haven't onboarded yet, so it's not connected to the platform. So that said, let me just move on to how these things look like. So that's an agricultural system monitoring device. As you can see here, I don't know, the resolution is not that great, but basically we have few of them in this particular account on the field. You can connect up to 232 sensors to the device. Everything on near real time is transmitting data to this platform. So imagine this is most of them are actually installed in the Napa Valley area. So you're sitting in your device is monitoring the vineyard in the Napa Valley area, and from anywhere in the world you can actually get the data about your soil condition, your temperature, humidity, pasture greenness, available UV light, how much water you would use. By the way, the state of California requires reporting the underground water use, so we have a meter that actually measures it, so that makes it a little bit kind of more useful than, let's say, voluntarily buying it. Now, another example of using this is GPS trackers used by one of our partner companies, Lamar IoT. We built it for them. So they're tracking the in this particular package, I believe they're tracking coffee beans from the distributor, from one of their clients, Sip and Sanders, which is a large coffee distributor. And these are GPS trackers with condition monitoring. So I think that's enough for with the platform. Now let me get back to why the platform. Why do we have this? Why did we come up with this idea, create the platform as a service? Because we noticed that since end of the last year, beginning of this year, we were working on 2 very large contracts. And one of the things that we noticed, that when we give them a proposal, 80% of the work that we actually listed as a work that we have to be done, it's already part of our platform, so we can actually, it's like a free money for us. But it's a legitimate amount of work, and it has to be 20% of customization. But basically the 80% of the work, we already had it. We had to customize the other 20% in order to make this platform working for this purpose of a very, very large insurance company. And then we had another contract, we signed a 5-year agreement with a huge company to build an IoT platform for them. Both of them are actually very close. It's called the peel and stick sensors. So it's basically sensors that you peel and stick to something, and they just keep reporting the data. And we noticed a similar position is that we are actually going to be 80% of the work that needs to be done. It's already done. And it's only about 20 to 25% of the work that we have to customize for this particular company. And then we noticed that even with that, our margins on number of the devices that we will be servicing, getting the service contract, service fees as part of our SaaS, giving them access to our software as a service platform, is much higher than our margins, not only just margins, but the dollar-wise, is much higher than we quoted them for doing the custom engineering work. So we immediately noticed that there is an, how should I say it, underutilized area of revenue where we can top it, basically. And the next question is going to be, what do we need to do in order to have access to that kind of revenue, and what do we need to do in order to bring in more customers? Because we bring in more customers, that means more revenue, and this is a continuous revenue generation, because once the customers are onboarded, by the way, it don't even require any contract. Once they get onboarded in our system, they need the data for business operations, so you don't even have to burden them with the long-term contracts. They will just keep paying monthly to have access to their own data. So basically what we're doing, our concept is, we enable their devices to publish on our platform, and we sell back to them the data their own devices are publishing on online. And they're happy to do that because that gives them access to the data that is critical for their business operations. And we noticed that without even offering or requiring a long-term contracts, oldest customer that we have is about 4 years old. We have never signed any contract with them. They keep paying their bill every month, basically based on the service and everything else. And we don't even want to own the data. For example, the two contracts that I was saying, the companies are so large that I don't want to carry the monthly cost of their data in our system, hoping that they're going to pay me back, a month later. So we actually even giving them their own data. So we're not even charging them for their data. We're just charging for the service to provide them their own data. And we noticed that this is going to be a really good business model. And the problem is we don't know how to tap in or fully utilize that market. So our circle of the companies that we interact with, we work with, we're a small size company, we're an engineering company, we're a traditional kind of engineering company. So one of the idea was that just go out there, advertise the idea, and see what can come in as in terms of revenue generation, onboarding, what we're doing right, what we're not doing right. And this industry is so new. Just to give you an example, when we were trying to give the customers estimates on their monthly service fees, we looked everywhere. We couldn't find a software or estimating software that actually can be used for Internet of Things service companies. So we had to write our own software. We called it Dynamo, and basically this is how we estimate the cost of the IoT product into the market. So basically there's two different estimates that we give the customers. One is devices estimate, and how much is going to be to build a device for them. And then the other one is actually going to be the tiers and tiers for service. We give them a service estimate based on the number of the times they have to publish. And because in the IoT world, the costs are based how much data you're collecting and how often you're publishing. So there's not a software in the world that can actually let you estimate these things. So we had to create our own software. We call it Dynamo. And this allows us to estimate the cost for the customers, how much it's going to cost them based on how much they're publishing or how often they're publishing. And for example, if they're using LTM network, that's going to cost more. If they're using NB-IoT network, their communication costs are going to be about 10 times cheaper. And then we're also getting into this new market with the new technology. Next month, we're going to actually have our first device tested on the network. It's the Amazon called Sidewalk. I don't want to bore you with the technology about that, but you guys can read all about it. It's basically Jeff Bezos wants to use your connected Ring devices to send the data from my device to your device without asking your permission. So that's a new concept, but if it works out, that actually will eliminate or drastically reduce the communication costs in the market. My point is, I think I'm doing good with the time for the presentation. It's an on-top market, huge opportunities. And we are one of the, I don't want to say pioneers, but one of the players that accidentally happen to be in the market, grow with the market, naturally follow the path, but we're right now at the point where we want to expand exponentially. Not just naturally or organically, grow naturally or organically. That's it.
Where do we have questions? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
By the way, I'm a real engineer, so you can ask me the questions.
If you're, and this is a use case that I'll work on for a little while. If you have this device, imagine I've got an oil field, the Permian Basin, Texas, and I've got a well that I want to start up, turn it on, turn it off. how close do you have to be? You're sending a radio signal from your IoT device. How close does the node have to read that?
Okay, it's a great question. Actually, I don't know if you're familiar with a company called Flowserve or not. They make oil and gas equipment. It's one of our customers. In fact, actually, we're going to be in Pasadena, Texas on the 22nd to do a test installation with them. The way we communicate is if you can catch any kind of radio signal, because we have to have some kind of radio signal. It can be Wi-Fi, it could be Bluetooth, BLE signal, it could be NB-IoT or LTE-M, but we have built actually what is called the depth sensor. Basically, we measure how much oil is in the well, and depth sensor through the wire gives the data to the little transmitter that we put on the top, which actually uses in that particular case, it uses LoRa because there's a lot of them in the same area. And then there's a LoRa modem that actually uses LTE-M or Cat-M to send the data. So it's a little bit complicated where you're in a hole, there's no radio signal, we need some kind of RF access to go directly from device to the cloud. But the other solution is to have attached module that is actually will communicate later with the radio, basically. But if there's no radio signal, there's nothing we can do.
Have you guys done a lot in the oil field service area?
Yeah, as I said, the Flowserve, which is one of the, you can look them up, they were one of the whales in that industry, is one of our customers. Not part of the IoT, but just general. We do a lot of engineering for them, control panels and devices. They have their own IoT platform. It's called the Red Robin. So what we do is we work with the people who actually are from that company to integrate the things that we do with their own platform. Hopefully that answers the question.
Yes, the second question?
Yeah. Sorry, I missed the name of your guys' outfit. What was it called?
Well, the company that we registered, we want to call it Platforms IOT. Well, we wanted to call it IoT Platforms, but somebody took that name already, so we went a little bit the other way. So it's called the Platforms IoT. We just registered it, and we want to start this concept that doesn't interact with our traditional engineering work. Just to give you a perspective, there are 3 guys that we started this company that named the 10-mile zone. We started as a 10-mile zone because we noticed that we lived in the same neighborhood and all our clients within 10 miles of where we lived, because our first clients were just the friends and family, whatever, and people that we know. So we named the company the 10-mile zone. So this other company, Greenwave IoT, is also our company, but it's like a brand name. So we make a lot of devices under either Greenwave or white label it to, like, for example, Lamar, which uses, he has the contracts with the Tillamook, with the Gray Robotics, Gray Matter Robotics, Sip and Sanders. They're trying to get a contract with the Starbucks and etc. So we use the Greenwave IoT as a white labeling solution where we actually heavily involved with their development process. We literally engineer devices for them. So the Platforms IoT is a little bit of a different approach. Platforms IoT, and it came from the Infusiomat. We're making a IV infusion, remote monitor IV infusion device for them, but they also wanted to onboard other devices, which we didn't make. So we kind of started getting into onboarding devices that we didn't make onto our platform. So this is where we came up with there's a lot more devices that we don't make than we do make, right? So, you go to an electronics store, obviously, you don't find any of ours.
That was maybe my second question there is, like, do you inject yourself into the manufacturing process for the hardware of very specific clients? Like you said, healthcare and oil industry.
Yeah.
So those are 2 different use cases completely. Do you say, like, your manufacturing plant is in a team? Or
No, it's engineering process. Like, I'll give you a just very fresh example. I just had a debugging session with the Simcom and the Onomondo teams in the morning. Yesterday morning, 7 o'clock, we went into 3-hour debugging session because one of our clients, which is a very large insurance company, we built a proof of concept device for them. It worked. They said, okay, go ahead and let's just order 500,000 of these devices. And we said, no, just hold on. Let's get 10 of them built from this OEM. Let's test them first. Because, what happens if we made a mistake? POC work, but it could be other things that. So we made 10 of them. All of a sudden, exact same drawing, exact same schematic, exact same not components, but were selected from the OEM manufacturers list, from the suppliers list, not from the devices that we provided to build the POC. And all of a sudden, we are not able to get that device on the NB-IoT network, right? So it's getting, after it connects, it gets rejected after 5 minutes. So this is kind of stuff that we do as a part of the engineering, but only if the client wants. That's a different, it's not really very scalable business because there is a very hard limits of it, and it's limited by the number of the engineers that we have. Right now, I have 3 different projects that I cannot allocate enough engineers to work because everybody is kind of, it's kind of, margins are there, it's a really good business for us, but it's not scalable. I can't scale it. Onboarding platform, software services, platform as a service, there's unlimited amount of scalability that we can implement there. Hardware engineering, custom hardware manufacturing, it's very hard.
So for, just in terms of time, can I get the question count again? There's one over here. Yeah. Is that one over there? We've got 1 minute, so hopefully we can answer them quickly. And then we have open like meet and greet afterwards. So if you guys don't get enough detail, you guys can chat more then.
Thanks, Sami.
First over here.
Are you in Las Vegas? And if so, what part of Vegas are you in?
Yeah, we're actually going to, the Platforms IOT is going to be in Nevada because there's no state tax in Nevada. Thank you. But 10 Mile Zone is registered in California. We are thinking about moving into California, but we have some ITAR licenses and some other licenses that are issued based on the California address. So right now our attorneys are looking into see how much effort is going to be just to move everything into Nevada. But technically, yes, we're in Nevada. Mm-hmm.
And last one over there.
In regards to marketing, is there any industries that have specifically brought you more clients? And have you made any efforts towards the platform to make it more attractive to those companies?
Yeah. This is why we're here, because what we noticed that, and being an engineer, you kind of spot the trends very quickly. We noticed that if we market to the right people, at least 2 out of 3 people that we try to pitch the idea, they either immediately want it or they have it in their plans and they kind of contact us. So from marketing perspective, this is a product that a lot of people need right now. And because of the entry barrier into the market is so high, we're not even concerned about the contracts or the patents or, I had our entire data model drawn at the CES 2023, I believe, or 2024, on the wall. Everybody was saying, "You crazy?" I said, "No, I'm not afraid. If anybody can do it, let them do it. There's a large enough market. There's a space for anyone." Basically, if it marketed correctly, insurance industry is one thing, healthcare is another thing, and then transportation industry is obviously the other market, probably.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
All right, another round of applause for all of our awesome demos. I don't know about you, Sami, but this, I think, is one of the best demo times that we've had. Some awesome ideas. So thank you very much for everybody who's participated in demo time. When we started this to begin with, it was all about not only sharing these ideas, but getting feedback, right? That's what Sami's always pushing. So please be sure to go on meetup.com, follow these startups, give your feedback to them, what they did good, what you still have questions about. We have about 10 minutes here. We're going to kick into the Vegas Programmers Meetup at 2:45. There's also obviously a whole bunch of other meetups going to start up here at 2:45. If you would like to secure a demo time spot, my business cards are up here. Feel free to email me, or if you just go to phpvegas.com, there's a link there to submit your demo. We had a question up here. What's up, Jimmy?
Josh, thanks for running this, bro. Has it been 3 years you've been running demo time?
Something like that, yeah.
Thanks for running this for the community, keeping it going.
Of course.
Month after month, it's awesome.
Yeah, and thank you, Sami. Thank you, Ryan, for recording these. It's a community, right? It's not just me. When I'm gone, people are backing me up. You guys are awesome. Everybody's awesome, so I appreciate it. One more?
Are we limited to one demo? Like if I wanted to watch my demo get better?
So you have an opportunity to come back in 6 months for an update. We've had that done before, so feel free to reach back out at that time and you can show your progress. We love seeing stuff like that, absolutely. All right, yeah, chit chat. Let's flip the lights back on, and 2:45 we'll kick off in the next one. Thank you, everybody.